Everyone makes a mistake on a cruise ship sooner or later, including myself. So today I wanted to share the cruise ship mistakes I've made over the years so that you can learn not to do them while you're on board. Up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. I've shared a lot of tips, and I was thinking about the different various strategies and things not to do on a cruise ship. I oftentimes revisit these when we're talking about new episodes to record here, and it occurred to me, well, which of these have I actually done? Because there are some things that I've talked about that I like to say I've never done. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've booked every single cruise with a travel agent as an example, or something I always advocate doing for anybody out there because travel agents are such a great resource, and they should cost you nothing extra to use, so why not? But it got me thinking there are definitely some mistakes that I have made over the years, especially if you go back a couple of years or even some more recently than that. But regardless, I'm not perfect. I admit that. And I thought it might be a good exercise to talk about the mistakes that I have made while on a cruise, so that way you don't make them as well. So let's start off with number one, and that is book my kids in the same cabin as myself. When you're not in a suite and you try to cram your kids into the same room as you, so we're talking either a balcony room or an inside room, in which you have, in my case, 4 people, 2 kids, 2 adults in the same room, yeah, it's going to save a little bit of money, but it's just not worth it. And I regret it every single time because there's 2 reasons. Number one, we have to share one bathroom. And number 2, we have to all be in the same room. And that means when my kids are trying to go to bed and my wife and I want to be up on our phones or our iPads or want to talk because our kids go to sleep before us, it just keeps them up as well. Not to mention the fact that if I have to get up to go to the bathroom or I need to get out in the morning in order to, maybe do something before the kids wake up, I feel like I'm basically a cat burglar trying to get through the room ever so carefully without disturbing anything or making any noise for fear of waking up the kids. Now, this was more of a problem when my kids were younger because when they were, younger, like toddlers and, under the age of 5 or 6, certainly noises would wake them up and then they'd just be up, right? It's the, Daddy, what are you doing? And it's like, I'm just trying to get something, go back to bed, right? The bottom line is this strategy just doesn't work for me. And so since then, I've always advocated and personally used the idea of getting 2 smaller rooms connecting so that way the kids have their own room, we have our own room, we have a common door between us, but we have 2 different bathrooms and we can shut their door when they need to go to bed while my wife and I stay up, watch TV or whatnot. Having 2 rooms is just so much easier as a parent, and it gives the kids more separation. They just like having their own space as well, so this works out really well. Now, I mentioned this is for non-suites because we've stayed in some suites where we have to obviously share a room. It's really not practical to get 2 suites, and in fact, thinking about it, I'm not even sure how many suites, if any, have connecting doors between them. But when you're talking about a suite, you have a lot more living space, right? That's a bit of a different issue. If you're not in an expansive room, I really think getting 2 rooms is definitely the way to go. Number 2 on my list is overpacking. Full disclosure, I still make this mistake and I still fight with it because overpacking is a waste, right? You're basically taking more stuff than you need, which means you have more heft with you when you're trying to get on an airplane, whether you're driving and dragging it on board the ship. It's more weight that you're dealing with, and that just makes everything a little bit more difficult because there's just more heft. You're just dragging more stuff around, right? And overpacking has been something I've struggled with for a while. And the only way that I've really gotten around overpacking is when I purposely underpack, but the idea is that I know I'll do laundry on board the ship. Seems like a great idea. The problem with doing laundry on board the ship is it's just a hassle. It's an extra step to do that. Obviously, it costs money unless you're staying maybe in a star class room, but it's kind of like, pick your poison type of situation. Overpacking is something that a lot of people talk about when you talk about what not to do on a cruise, and I think there is some truth to it. I think there is certainly overpacking and then ridiculously overpacking. I feel like I'm in the former and not the latter, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just being kind to myself. But the bottom line is overpacking is really tough not to do because it's hard not to know what you may or may not need. Changing weather, different preferences, whether or not your pants are stretchy enough after a couple of visits to the buffet. These are all considerations that maybe what you have packed or what you plan to wear might not be what you want to wear that particular day. And I certainly understand that concern. I don't think that overpacking is a major mistake in the sense that oh my goodness, if you overpack, your cruise is ruined. But I do think there's always an opportunity to ensure that you're not bringing too much than you need, especially if you are flying and you have luggage constraints with the airlines. That can be a big problem. The next mistake is something that I did a number of years ago, but I actually was reminded of this recently, and that is not bringing my own shampoo and body wash on board the ship. I remember when I took our YouTube editor, Jen, on her first Royal Caribbean cruise on Mariner of the Seas, And after about a day or two, we were kind of talking about, how she likes it and all this other stuff. And she mentioned the fact that she was relying on the shampoo and body wash that Royal Caribbean provides in the room, which is that mystery dispenser thing on the side of the wall in your shower. And I was shocked that she was relying on it. But it occurred to me, well, if nobody tells you that's a problem, then you won't know it's a problem until you get on board the ship. Bringing your own shampoo and body wash is 2 reasons for it. Number one, if you're not in a suite, you are just going to have this mix of body wash and shampoo, which allegedly is fine. But even for people who, like myself, who don't really care all that much, I can't even imagine for ladies who have, more particular hair requirements, that stuff just isn't going to fly. On top of that, I just don't trust that the stuff that's in body wash and shampoo is the exact same ingredients or does as good of a job as having separate stuff. But regardless, what kind of brands you prefer and all that. So bringing your own shampoo and body wash is definitely something to make sure you do. And I'm pretty sure that while I said earlier that, I may have done this years ago, there may have been a cruise or two in which I neglected to bring some, and then I get on board the ship and it's like, oh, this is a problem once you get on board. So double check you have the shampoo and body wash. Something else I always make sure I bring, because it gets a mistake if you don't bring them, is extra pairs of contact lenses. If you wear contact lenses like I do, it is extremely important to pack extras. If we go to a hotel or somewhere on land and one of your contact lenses rips or just becomes a real problem, you could go to another optometrist's office and buy one off the bat. There's options for you. But on a cruise ship, you don't have that. And certainly even if you go to certain ports of call, good luck finding, an eye doctor there that has the exact stuff that you may need. So it's always a really good idea to bring with you an extra pair or two of contact lenses, just in case. You never know. There's been many times in which we've been on a cruise where I've actually not done that and then ended up wearing my glasses for the rest of the cruise. Not the end of the world by any means, but it's an easily preventable problem and certainly a mistake if you don't bring that. The next mistake I've made is flying home from John F. Kennedy Airport in New York City instead of Newark when cruising out of Cape Liberty, New Jersey. Cape Liberty, which is in Bayonne, New Jersey, is the cruise port that Royal Caribbean uses for its quote-unquote New York cruises. While other cruise lines go out of Manhattan or even Brooklyn, Royal Caribbean goes out of Cape Liberty, out of Bayonne. And it's a great port. It's easy to sail out of, but it's in New Jersey. And it's very easy, and I've done this before, is saying, well, you can either fly into Newark Airport, you can fly into LaGuardia, you could fly into John F. Kennedy Airport. They're all the New York City airports. Certainly, there's not much of a difference, right? Yeah, if there was absolutely no traffic, that'd be the case. But there's been 1 or 2 times in which we've flown out of Kennedy in order to save some money and then realized later on, this wasn't worth it because the amount of traffic was more than we were anticipating. You start doing that nervous, like scratching your hands and biting your nails in the back of a taxi cab while you're sitting in traffic because you're now behind schedule of where you thought you'd be getting to the airport. Having flown out of Newark and Kennedy, by far the easiest, best idea is to fly out of Newark whenever possible. Yes, it's even worth paying extra for because Newark Airport is like 15 or 20 minutes from the port, and there's not usually that much traffic because it's basically just one straight shot down this one highway over there. So there's very little elements of risk involved compared to trying to go across the Hudson River and then deal with traffic elements all between there and the airport. It's just not worth it. If you have the choice, fly to Newark. It is worth paying extra for. Something else that I've regretted is waiting too long to book cruise add-ons. I remember in either 2018 or 2019, I resolved as my New Year's resolution that I would not wait to book things for my cruise very close to my sail date. I would do this like a year in advance. And this is something I've still struggled with, but all too often, because I have a lot of cruises booked, I don't book things like drink packages or dining packages or cabanas until much closer to my sailing. And then when I get around to doing it, I realize they're sold out or they're costing way more than they would have had I done it in the past. The longer you wait to book these things, the more likely they will either sell out or the prices will go up. Your best bet is to, again, this is what I'm saying, not necessarily what I'm doing, but to book these things as early as you can. You book the cruise. As soon as you know you might want one of these things, I would recommend booking it, locking in the price, especially for some of the special add-ons at places like Perfect Day, Coco Key, or La Badie, where the demand for things like cabanas and beach beds are so much higher than anywhere else, especially compared to other shore excursions that, you have a little more leeway in booking it. But if you want to get the best prices and, of course, the best chance to actually make sure you have an opportunity to book it, definitely pre-book as early as you can. It's a good idea to book these many, many months in advance and always track the prices later on. Don't forget, when you book one of these things, a cabana, a drink package, a dining package, you can always reprice it and cancel if there's a lower price later on. There's no penalty for doing that via Royal Caribbean's Cruise Planner website. It is so easy, so definitely the way to go. And the last mistake I made was actually back in December, and that was I didn't print out luggage tags before I left home. I've become a little lazy with certain things that I know I should be doing, but I always say, you know what, it'll be fine. And in the case of printing out luggage tags, this has been a major one for me. So traditionally, when you go to a cruise terminal for check-in, it's usually not a big deal if you don't have your luggage tags printed out because the porters can write one up for you right there on the spot. Certainly in all the cruises I've been on, this has never been an issue, and I said, okay, no problem at all. So fast forward to Navigator this season out of the Port of Los Angeles, and I completely forgot to print out luggage tags. I didn't even think about it. I just completely forgot about it. But as we're driving there, and even the day or two before we were at the hotel, when I could have printed out luggage tags, I thought to myself, it'll be fine. They've got luggage tags there. Well, at the Port of Los Angeles, it was a major ordeal to get luggage tags. You had to go to this tent area, and a lot of other people had the same problem. And there was a long line. We wasted a fair amount of time, like half an hour, waiting for luggage tags. And then we had to go find a porter to affix them to our luggage. It's an easily avoidable problem. Print out your luggage tags before the cruise. It's available on Royal Caribbean's website once you do the complete check-in, and you're good to go. It's definitely a mistake to rely on something else in the hopes that it won't be a problem. It's an easily avoidable problem, and in this case, I'll be always printing out my own luggage tags going forward. So there you go. There's my mea culpa, all the cruise mistakes that I have made over the years. There's probably others that I just haven't thought about, but let me know in the comments, which mistakes have you made? Let's own up to these mistakes so that way others can benefit from our collective knowledge. Let me know in the comments below, what cruise mistakes have you made? What pieces of cruise advice that you now know you shouldn't do, but you did back in the day? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you like this video, hit that like button, it really helps us out. Subscribe to our channel, that's so important, and turn on your notifications. That's that little bell icon next to the subscribe button, so that way YouTube lets you know when I have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.